Good night, ladies and gentlemen, the honored judges, the distinguished adjudicators, and the always punctual timekeeper, and also, of course, my worthy opponent and my fellow comrades. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nicodemus.D.Hendratno, and I will be representing my school, Regina Selly Senior High School, and I would be speaking as the first speaker and acting as the government side in the session of National School Debating Championship with the motion of, and I quote, "This House believe that violence in media might provoke violence in the society." Well, but before we get into that, let us thank God for allowing us to gather here, of course, although virtually, but it's okay, with all good health and prosperity. So, without further ado, let's just get into it. But before we get into that, let me define the motion itself first. Well, first of all, violence is a behavior involving physical force intended to hurt or damage or kill someone or something. And in the other hand, media is main means of mass communication, including broadcasting, publishing, and the internet itself. We all know that in this globalization era, the technology has provided us with a lot of varieties of media that we can choose to gain information or entertainment. And amongst all of those media that we can choose, it is believed that television is still and are the biggest, the most major media that are still enjoyed and used by a lot of people throughout the world, of course. And again, television provided you with a lot of TV shows that contains different genres and content. But it is very possible to, it is very possible for some of those TV shows to contain a violence content in them. For example, from the early 90s to the early 20s, wrestling shows are broadcasted in the Indonesian television, and because of that, there was a case in 2003. A Pamulang kid, the name and more specific location are confidential. So, in 2003, a kid in Pamulang accidentally killed his older brother because they were trying to do the act of wrestling that they were watching from the TV show. I think that explains a lot. But what I'm trying to say is, television is so widespread that everyone in the world, not everyone, but most of the people in the world with fortune can enjoy them and access them. But the thing is, not everyone can handle those contents, especially the violence one, with maturity. Especially, again, these underage kids. They cannot, again, handle it with maturity. So it most likely for them to provoke them to do those violent acts and apply it in real life. So I think that's enough. But I think, okay, let's move on. So I think the next media that has the power to provoke society to actually doing a violent act is the social media. What is social media itself? Social media are interactive computer-mediated technologies that facilitates the creation or sharing of information, ideas, career interests, and other forms of expressions via virtual communities and networks. But the specific social media that I'm going to talk about is the kind of social medias in a form of an apps that are mostly installed in everybody's phone, such as Instagram, Facebook, and the other. These social medias, these apps, are very popular amongst teenagers, and it is also very popular among the teenagers to start a conflict that starts in the social media, in those apps. For an example, again, specific locations and names are confidential, but there was a student in Depok there that are trash talking with another student from the other school, and they were trash talking, and then in the social media, of course, and it ends up both of their school having a fight, and having a fight in Indonesia, what I'm trying to say is tawuran. So it only started in social media, and it only started with two students that were trash talking in the social media, but it ends up provoking not only three or four other students, but the whole school to actually start up a fight. So what I'm trying to say is, social media is so free. It is so free for everyone that have an account on the social media to express themselves. But this freedom might and sometimes disadvantage the users, and the freedom of speech might sometimes wait sorry, let me repeat what I'm trying to say. Is sometimes the freedom on social media is when you're expressing yourself, you without realizing you may harm other people, and then you might start a conflict that might ends up in the society. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So